And so I started like looking into it, and I was talking to a friend. He's in dental school. He was like, "Yeah, we were studying that in class, and it turns out that mixing ibuprofen and acetaminophen is just as strong for pain management, if not better for pain management than an actual opioid." So I'm like, "What?" Like, you're like, I could just take some fucking Tylenol and shit, and like it'll be fine. And dude, I tried it.
This is Modern Day Hippie. We are your homies who've done nearly every drug under the sun. Over 600 psychedelic trips and nearly every kind of bender you can possibly imagine have armed us with a universe of knowledge. I'm Yuki, and with my co-host Reggie, we talk about how we do drugs in a responsible, safe, and fun way to improve our lives. Before we dive in, and so we don't get sued, a quick legal disclaimer.
This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Our goal is to educate and inform others about the realities of substance use in an engaging and entertaining format. We share these experiences so you can learn from them without trying them yourself. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to attempt to recreate anything found in this episode or in any of our other content. We are not confessing to any acts stated in this podcast. The content in this episode should not be treated as factual or real in any way.
With that, we welcome you through our portal and hope you enjoy the show.
What's up, hippies? Hope you're having a vibey day so far. We're coming at you with our first time recording in, what has it been, a little over a month? And
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Yeah, and that's because Reggie actually got a fairly serious nose surgery. So just wanted to talk a little bit about your recovery from that surgery. Like, honestly, you're looking really good, even I know under the mask. Obviously our YouTube viewers can't tell, but I promise you he's looking good and like new, honestly. But wanted to hear how your recovery has been going and honestly how it's affected your drug use, because I know that was something that you had mentioned before your surgery, not being able to take any like nose snorting drugs for a good bit after the surgery.
Oh yeah, I'm still clean of nose drugs for the foreseeable future, honestly. But yeah, the surgery I had, so just for context here, I had a pretty broken nose. I had broken it a little over a year ago by like when I was lifting in my little garage gym. And it sounds cool, but I was living in like an apartment. Like it was like a one car garage. And long story short, I just dropped a bunch of weight on myself and was bleeding out in my garage for 10 minutes. Which,
bro, that's terrifying, man. Like, wait, so you were just like hitting a bench press and you just dropped the bar like straight onto your nose?
Dude, I wish I could say that that's what happened, but it's way stupider than that.
Oh,
like it always is. But I pretty much I had an adjustable bench and I was trying to use it at an incline that it wasn't designed to be used as. So I kind of just propped it up. And long story short, I was trying to do like dumbbell rows on the bench. But in order to it was a really fucking cheap bench from like Walmart. And in order to make sure the bench was heavy enough, I kept the bar fully loaded with weights on the bench. And I was actually using that bar like on the little stand that I came with. I'm sorry if this is hard to visualize, but it was one of those benches that comes with a stand, like the little hooks, like on the side of the bench. You know what I'm talking
about? Yeah, I think so. I like to hold the bar when it's down.
Right.
Yeah,
like those cheapy Walmart ones. And I had the bar fully loaded with more weight than that bench was designed to carry. Probably, I mean, probably not actually, but like it didn't feel stable. Is my point. And I propped up the inclinable bench part onto the bar itself instead of the actual adjustments that you're supposed to prop it up onto.
Oh, bro, that sounds so sketchy.
It was super sketch, but I was just trying to get that angle, you know? And long story short, I said that like 3 times. My bad, y'all. I ended up slipping. And like the bench slipped off the bar and the entire thing, including the bar with all the weights, just fell on my face, which was super fucked. Like completely shattered my nose on the inside. I saw the x-rays. It was bad. And I had like a super deviated septum for a long time. And my mistake was that I didn't go to the ER right away because I was just living alone and I was just at home just bleeding out. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. And I went to the ER the next day because I wasn't fine. And they're like, yeah, like if you came in the day of, then we could have just like snapped it back into place. But since you waited a day, like you're going to have surgery now. So I went and got an appointment scheduled with the doctor or whatever. And the doctor was like, oh yeah, we actually can't operate on you until at least a year after you broke your nose. So that,
what the hell?
I know, right? Is that even a thing? I don't know. Someone tell us in the comments if that's actually a thing. And maybe this doctor was just super busy and like just didn't have availability for a while because it did take a long time to schedule stuff with him.
Dude, yeah, I
But
don't know.
yeah.
That's funky. Like I've never had any like facial surgery before, but I've broken hella bones and like my feet, my arms, my hands, and gotten a good amount of surgeries. Probably like, I don't know, close to half a dozen at this point in my life. And the policy, as far as I know it, is always like operate as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, the more your body will just like heal your bone and whatever tissue has been fucked up back into the place that it currently is. And so if you wait too long to do surgery on a bone, they literally have to like break it again, put it back into
I'm pretty
place.
sure they had to do that.
Yeah, and then they'll like secure it and then let the body like do its natural healing process back again. Damn, man, that's a brutal process. And I know you've been like struggling with that for the last year, like just breathing normally, and
dude, it's so
like
fucked.
your sleep
It was so
and
fucked.
man.
My sleep was fucked. Breathing normally was fucked. I couldn't smell. Like my sense of smell was so suppressed because I couldn't really get much air through my nose, and so like I have like one or two memories of that whole year that I actually remember smelling something, and I literally had to go to like a fish market with like a bunch of dead animals in order to actually smell anything. Like it was so bad, but they fixed everything.
Let's go, baby.
And
I'm
I
stoked
can
for you,
smell
man.
and breathe. But this is the interesting part. So, as you guys know, with surgery, oftentimes they're going to give you a bunch of opioids or something to like when you recover, because that shit's fucking painful. And honestly, like, yeah, the surgery fucking sucked. Like, it was painful. It took the surgeon 4 hours to fix my nose. Apparently, like, I was down for over 4 hours. And when I woke up from the surgery, I was like in a huge panic sweat for some reason. I don't know why. I guess that surgery was just traumatic on me, on my body physically.
Yeah.
And I legitimately was crying for like an hour. Like I just couldn't help it, dude. I was just crying for like an hour after waking up. Obviously I was still super drugged up, but like it was just fucking brutal, dude. I was just like a fucking baby. It was sad. It was almost like dehumanizing to myself. I was like, I am not like this. I do not know why. I guess I was just in so much pain, but
yeah, damn,
they
man. Dude, I'm really sorry you went through that. That sounds like terrible, man. Genuinely.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. It wasn't as bad as it sounds. Mostly because I was still drugged up, but like that's like looking like in hindsight, I'm like, damn, that was kind of a lot more than I expected.
Right.
But anyways, they prescribed me hydrocodone and promethazine, and I still had some codeine left over from back when I got some other shit happen. And so I was like, fuck it, dude. Like, let's just take some of these. Maybe I'll just like mix a little bit of codeine with the promethazine just to do the whole wrapper thing. Even though the hydro, I'm pretty sure, is stronger. And so,
on brands, dude, on brands.
So I messed around with it a little bit, but honestly, this is kind of what made me start really thinking about opioids, because I've never been a huge fan of opioids. I did some lean in college, not ever casually, just like literally a couple of times. And it was enough to kind of make me realize that shit fucking sucks. Like, it's not something that I would ever do for fun. And it's not something that I think is even necessary for recovery. Because at a certain point, I was just like tired of being fucking faded. Like, I was just that shit got me so fucking faded, and I wasn't even abusing it. Like, I didn't even like abuse it per se until like at the end of the first week of recovery, just because at that point I felt like good enough to like kind of experiment a little bit with it. But it wasn't even worth it, you know what I mean? Like I did it to get it off my bucket list, really, like just to see what it was like, but it fucking blew. And honestly, the promethazine they gave me, it was a fucking suppository. Like, and I'm pretty sure they did that just so that, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but like I think they did that so that people don't abuse it. But yeah, man, I shoved a pill up my ass and put one down my throat, and they met in the middle, and it just got me faded. But honestly, man, I can't even say that I really liked it. Like, it wasn't something that I enjoyed. It wasn't even something I would want to do again. And I actually ended up just giving away the rest of like the opioids that I had, just because I was like, I don't even like, I'm literally prescribed this and I don't even want to take it because it doesn't make me feel like myself. And And that's what got me thinking, do we need fucking opioids? Like we probably don't, right? That just seems like some big pharma bullshit. And so I started like looking into it, and I was talking to a friend, he's in dental school. He was like, yeah, we were studying that in class. And it turns out that mixing ibuprofen and acetaminophen is just as strong for pain management, if not better for pain management, than an actual opioid. So I'm like, what? Like, you're like, I could just take some fucking Tylenol and shit, and like, it'll be fine. And dude, I tried it, and it legit was just as good, minus like being fucking faded, which to me, it feels like whoever made these opioids, like, oh yeah, like they can't feel pain if they're fucking faded. Like, I don't know, man. It's just dumb.
Do you know the story of like Oxycontin and like
I'm not that familiar, but I probably need to familiarize myself with it.
Dude, no, I mean, I'll give you a TLDR. Like, it was a fucking racket. There's literally this company called Purdue Pharma that developed, I think it was Oxycontin, and they literally like paid doctors a shit ton of money to prescribe it to patients. Like, they were literally paying doctors commissions for every script that they wrote to patients for Oxy. And this company made like so much money off of it, like disgusting amounts of money. And the company is run by this family called the Sackler family.
Oh, God. And how do you know so much about this, bro?
No, dude, there's legit like so many documentaries and stuff about this. Like, I need to post a couple links in the show notes, but there's like multiple like investigative podcasts. There's like miniseries. There's probably a movie about it too. But like, this family legitimately like one of the wealthiest families to have ever existed, from this deal with like literally like pushing people to get hooked on opioids.
Damn, bro, that's so
it's legit one of the most like insidious, fucked up things ever, because like opioids are one of those things that like I would just never fuck around with. Like, I know too many people just around me. Luckily, not too many like directly first degree, but I definitely have friends who've been like affected by people close to them who've dealt with opioid problems. And it's a category of drug unlike any other, because I think for some people, like, it doesn't feel like a whole lot. Like I mentioned earlier that when I was getting operations on just like different bones and shit that I broke when I was growing up, like, there are a few times I was prescribed like hydro and oxy, like even as a younger kid, which I don't know if that's right, but like I would take it.
Really, as a kid, bro?
Yeah, I think so. Not, like more like teenager, I guess.
Yeah, but you're still not an adult. Like, is your body really equipped to handle a drug that powerful?
I really don't know. And luckily, I took it as prescribed. Like, it was fine. Like, I didn't know anything about drugs at that point to like whether like experiment with it or like choose not to take it. Like, I just took it as I was told to do, and then I stopped and it was fine. But I think like the reaction to some people that they can have with opioids is just this very visceral like addiction that they can't help. And I know in this podcast, like, we talk a decent amount about how everyone's body reacts slightly differently to every different type of drug. And I feel like that applies even more strongly to opioids, because some people can have these extremely addictive responses, and just like, once you get addicted to them, man, like, you just cannot stop. Like, there have literally been studies done on rats where the opioids literally rewire the like pathways in their brains to prioritize seeking out more of these opioids above anything else. Like, in these studies, these rats would literally starve themselves to death because they were like incentivized, or they had to learn through like the experiment they were in, that if they like didn't eat, they would get more opioids, like, put in their water or whatever. And it's gnarly. And honestly, like, yeah, the study you mentioned with kind of just pairing over the counter pain medication, like, if that works for a majority of people, then like, fuck yeah, like, I don't think opioids are worth it. And honestly, just knowing this history with Purdue Pharma, and honestly, since then, like, the company's rebranded. I don't even remember what name it goes by now, but totally different name.
Of course they did, bro. Like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, no, dude. And literally, like one of the documentaries I watched about it is this like mini series about just like I think it's what they call dirty money. It's about different kind of like financial scandals. And one of them is about the Sackler family. And dude, the Sackler family, like, they've like basically like donated, like they donated a bunch of money, as rich people do, to just get their like names on places like, the rooms of museums or like buildings on university campuses. Cause I don't know, I guess that's what rich people do. But like they won't actually put like Sackler on anything
Oh my
because a lot of people
God.
now
That
know
makes
that
sense.
name, and like that name is so just like
Just
taboo.
tarnished, bro.
It's straight
Yeah.
up like fuck these people.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. Damn, that's actually in line with what the research study that I was looking at said. It's in like the description of the study, and we can link this in the description. It says that opioid use for just 3 days can significantly increase the risk of opioid dependence, which is 3 fucking days. Like I definitely was on
Yeah.
that shit for more than 3 days, and like I see it. You know what I mean? Like I get it.
Yeah, dude.
And then
Yeah, and I feel like especially like opioids are prescribed after something like an operation where it does like cause more pain and you have a longer recovery process. Like it's like either you're not prescribed opioids or you're prescribed them for many weeks at a time. Because I feel like, at least the way I view it, it's like, oh, if your pain is going to be like severe enough to merit opioids, and you're going to need them. And if your pain's going to be that severe, then like you're probably going to need it for more than 3 days,
yeah, definitely. I feel like, or else like they wouldn't even give it to you. And there's other things that would work, like kratom. Isn't that like an alternative to opioids that people like use it to get off of opioids?
I don't know shit about kratom.
Yeah, man, it's fucked.
Hey hippies, we hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and are having a good time, you need to come over to YouTube and subscribe to the Modern Day Hippie YouTube channel. We publish exclusive video content, and I promise you the experience is richer and more interesting. So if you're getting any value at all, stop what you're doing, open up the YouTube app, and subscribe at Modern Day Hippie. If you're watching this on YouTube and aren't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go press subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
A simple Google search showed me that there are alternatives to taking opioids. And like, I'm not a doctor or anything. This isn't like medical advice. Obviously, listen to what your doctor says. But when you can just do a simple Google search and the first thing that comes up says that in adults presenting to the emergency department with acute extremity pain severe enough to warrant radiologic investigation, ibuprofen plus acetaminophen was equally effective in reducing pain intensity at 2 hours compared with 3 different opioids and acetaminophen combination analgesics. It's a big word, man. I'm sorry.
No,
And then
I feel
they
that.
talk about another study that says the same thing. I guess what I'm reading right now is a summation of other studies, but
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'll make sure to link it. But that's sad, bro. Like it's sad that like it feels like our system is so designed to make money that like it forgets about the actual purpose of these things, like pain management, like. Which I get it. Pain's a hard thing. Like it's a tough thing to try to solution for with a pill. Like
Yeah. I mean, also just the structure of the medical system in the US is it's very fucked in the sense that the incentives aren't aligned very well. Like that's the
Right.
reason why these like big pharma companies are charging just out the ass for things like insulin, which you go and buy them in like Canada or a place where the medical system is a little bit more like state run, state sponsored, where that shit costs a fraction of the price. And it's like not expensive because it's expensive to produce. It's just expensive because there's only like 2 producers in the US or something, and they can just charge whatever they want for it.
damn, dude.
And it's like
That's
these
a
are
whole other
profit
thing to
making
implement.
enterprises.
Yeah.
Like ultimately
Yeah.
they just have to answer their shareholders and post better profits every quarter. Like, yeah, it's tough. But in my mind, I'm running through like, like what can you or I or any of our listeners do about something like this? And I think on a small scale, I think something that is helpful, and I don't know this for a fact, but I feel fairly confident that it's true, is that like I feel like doctors are prescribing opioids less frequently than they
Right.
used to be.
I
Like
agree with that.
because those incentives where they're getting these like actually insane commissions for every script that they write, I'm like almost certain those don't exist anymore. And I feel like also like if you have this knowledge and you see a doctor is gonna like, you're in the office and like they're describing what they're going to prescribe you and how often you should take it before they like actually write you the script. If they mention opioid, like, you and your patient are well within your rights to push back on that and be like, hey, no, like give me something else. And look, I mean, I've gotten prescription like ibuprofen before from the doctor. It's just like
it's like they have like 800 milligrams, 600 milligram ibuprofen.
Stuff like
those
that.
work, dude. Those fucking work.
Yeah, exactly. And even outside of the like traditional over-the-counter compounds, like I'm pretty sure there are other pain management drugs as well that are not opioids. Like there's a lot of different ways that like chemically, like we can have our bodies manage that pain. All right, so this brings me to asking, like, what is your nasal recovery look like now, and how are you feeling about going back to nose drugs potentially?
Oh, dude, I feel like I'm chilling now. Like they told me that it'll take a year for like all of the swelling to completely go away. Like there's still a little bit of swelling, but it's not something that most people would notice, and it doesn't even bother me. But I'll probably dabble in some nose drugs in a couple of months when I feel a little bit more comfortable doing it again. I'm enjoying being able to smell and breathe right now, and I'm not going to risk doing anything to fuck that up, Frank. And also, there are a few nose drugs that are even worth it to me. Like, I'm not going to do coke. Like, it's just not worth it. It's definitely not worth the risk, especially with the way that it's cut in the US. And like, the only thing I could think of that I might want to do is like snorting some psychedelic. Like if we can get our hands on some more Florico DMT. We did a whole episode on that, by the way. Link in the description. Then I would like to see what it's like to snort that, honestly, because I've heard of people doing it and it seems fun. And then maybe like 2CB and ketamine, but other than that, like I don't need to be putting shit up my nose.
Yeah, I agree with that. Those drugs are definitely more of a mental commitment to do it. Like I'll more casually like eat mushrooms than I will snort those drugs. But
it's not bad.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like I was at a rave this weekend and my buddy makes his own like homemade like spray bottles of ketamine, and he literally puts like aloe vera solution in the spray as well, so it helps like moisturize your nose like as you're doing the ketamine, and it's like super easy to administer. And it's like, yeah, it's in a water form. So it's like, you're not even snorting it. And so I think that makes it a lot less, like rough on your nose. It really reduces the risk of you like damaging your nose and getting a nosebleed and shit like that.
Nice. That makes sense. That's funny. Speaking of raves, I went to a rave one time and I was talking to this guy and I was like, yeah, man, like, what are you on? And he's like, oh man, this weekend I'm only doing nose drugs. Like just ketamine, coke, I'm just like, bro, what? But I mean, like, I have nothing against nose drugs, obviously, but at this exact moment, I personally need to be careful with them. Just because of surgery, but
definitely.
But no, go and buy Snogo using our link.
Yeah, exactly.
You're at the club and the music is thumping, but you've got nothing left in the tank. So what do? Sniff some cacao. Yep, you heard that right. Sniff some cacao. It's the hottest new trend in the club and party scene. One bump-sized sniff of raw chocolate powder contains the caffeine equivalent to a half cup of coffee, and boom, it hits instantly. And the best part is you can now sniff cacao anytime, anywhere. Right out in the open, in front of the DJ booth or the stage, even at the VIP table with your friends. Now, how does that happen without drawing unwanted attention? Well, Snogo's spring-loaded bump straws make it possible. These classy, triple mirror polished bump straws are the safest, most discreet way to enjoy sniffing cacao. In fact, you've most likely already seen people wearing Snogo's bump straws as pendants around their necks without even knowing it. Discover why sniffing cacao using Snogo bump straws is being called the biggest revolution in partying since the invention of rock and roll. Jump on over to snogostraws.com to learn more. That's SNOGOSTRAWS.com and use discount code MDH25 for 25% off your entire order.
Dude, actually, speaking of that, I recently bought myself a new Snogo. So I bought myself the full length one because I used to have the mini one, the stealth. I bought myself the full length one and the necklace. And honestly, it's so convenient wearing that shit when I'm going out.
Did you remember to use our code this time?
No, this was the one I forgot on.
Oh my god, bro!
Wait, no. Actually, no. I use our code on this one. It was the one I bought previously as a gift for a friend that I forgot to use their code on. Oops. Nice. But yeah, dude, that shit was so convenient, especially when I was out. Like, I was super stealthy and snorting my drugs on the dance floor. Like, I deeply appreciated it. Though I'm also curious to start experimenting with making my own spray solutions, because my buddy was like, yeah, like next time you come over, I'll show you exactly how I do it. So I'm gonna get like the
Nice.
ratios and the recipe from him. Because you can't just use water. Like,
Oh, really?
You want to, yeah, like that'll dry out your nose too much. Like, you need to use saline, and then he mixes in some like aloe gel, and then you need like the right ratio of your powder to your water, so like dissolves completely. Like, it's definitely not that hard to figure out, but he seems to have it down. So I'd rather just like grab his recipe from him,
Yeah,
and
dude.
get it right the first time than like, I don't know, fuck around and waste some drugs.
Dude, that aloe gel stuff's clutch. They actually had me using that because my nose wasn't used to getting so much airflow, so it would dry out super quick. But with the aloe gel, it's more.
Dude, actually, yeah, I've gotten more into the habit of using like saline spray, like saline rinse. Because I went on a 1.5 week ski trip in the mountains, and like it's super dry up there. And honestly, like my skin and body is just used to like very like humid environments. So like while I was there, like I could feel my nose getting like crusty and shit. And like,
Oh my god, dude, I know the feeling.
dude, yeah. And if I spend too long in the mountains, like when I like used to like spend a couple of months living in Colorado, like I would literally wake up with nosebleeds, and it sucked. And like I was doing no drugs. Like it was straight up just
Jeez.
like the dryness from the altitude. But like I've continued the habit now of using the saline spray like at home, especially when I get back from a night out. And I feel like it's definitely been beneficial for my nasal health.
Dude, yeah, saline spray is important, and it's non-addictive, which is the best part. Like, don't confuse, for all our viewers out there, do not confuse saline spray with like Afrin and stuff. That stuff's highly addictive, and honestly, like you don't want to be spraying that shit up your nose too often. Like, it's not a good idea.
Dude. Yeah, Afrin is actually insane. Yeah, saline spray is like you buy 3 bottles at CVS for like, I don't know, $10-15.
Yeah, and they'll last you forever. But anyways, that was my rant about opioids. I think they're pretty dumb. If we do another drug tier list, I would lower them in my ranking. I don't even remember what we put them at, but whatever it is, I want to lower them. And yeah, stay safe, y'all.
Yeah. Do not fuck around with that shit. Like, don't even experiment with it. Like, you just never know like how like your brain is going to react to something. And you know, like luckily both Reggie and I have, like, we've had our experiences with them, you know, mostly as prescribed and recommended, and luckily nothing bad came of it. But like you really never know. Like,
yeah, we've all seen people go down bad paths, and it doesn't just affect you or whoever the person is. Like, don't think about it that way. I hate to say this, but I've seen like mothers get hooked on opioids and just become shit mothers after that. Like, those kids raise themselves at that point. You can just imagine like your mom's just like a zombie all the time. Like, that's fucked, bro. Like you do not want to do that to anybody around you or yourself. Like, do not mess with opioids. And if you get prescribed them, just only use them as prescribed. And if you get prescribed them and you don't think you need them, tell your doctor, like, speak up, like say, hey, is there something else that you can give me that won't like fuck me up?
Yeah, and if you just want to do some drugs, we are so lucky to live in a world with some fantastic A tier and S tier drugs out there.
Yeah, so
that's all I'm gonna say. That's my mic drop.
All right, well, with that's the pod.
You've been listening to Modern Day Hippie. As you exit the portal, we have just one small ask of you. If you learned something new today, had a laugh, or resurfaced a drug story of your own, we want to hear about it. Drop us a comment on YouTube and show us some love on your favorite podcasting platforms. Internet algorithms really dog on us because of the topics that we discuss, so your support goes even further here than you might think. We'll catch you next week.